17 newsmakers and our political analysts are joining us this morning. We have Cathy Abernathy on the Republican side and Neel Sannappa on the Democratic side. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having
What
us.
an exciting week it is in our nation's capital. Cathy, I want to begin with you. It's been a century since it's taken more than one ballot to elect a speaker. Were you surprised by what we saw yesterday?
Well, no, you know, the Republicans met 6-7 weeks ago, the whole group, the ones that the country elected. They voted overwhelmingly for Kevin McCarthy, but a few of the guys that didn't make the team want to take the ball and go home so no one can play, and that's what we're watching right now. Even though I'm here at KGT, I think if there wasn't television, this might get done faster, but I think these folks are happy to have a chance to be on TV and hear their name called for speaker. So it's unfortunate because it's just eating up time, and it's an unnecessary exercise. I'm sure in the end Kevin McCarthy will prevail, but what's going on right now, we just have to be patient. They've got to work out their system of trying to be big time when they did not get elected by their peers to serve in leadership.
And Neel, yesterday, House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries received more votes than McCarthy at one point yesterday. Do you foresee a chance that a Democrat could get elected despite Republicans' slim majority?
I think it would be very difficult for a Democrat to get elected, but I think it's also difficult now for Kevin McCarthy to get elected as Speaker. You know, I mean, historically, this is something that, as you mentioned, hasn't happened in 100 years. And prior to yesterday, I mean, the thought was, you know, who's really bluffing? Is it Kevin McCarthy or is it Bob Good? Is Bob Good lying about having 5 to 20 members that are going to peel off away from McCarthy and actually stop him from getting to 218? And yesterday we found out that it wasn't Bob Good that was bluffing, it was McCarthy. He essentially lied for a few weeks about being able to have 218 when he knew he wasn't there, and he's still not there. And honestly, with how Matt Gaetz, how other folks that are on part of that 20 members have been acting and what they've been saying, it doesn't seem like they're going to blink. They're not going to back down. They're not going to walk away. And if you were to ask me, is it the 19 radical Republicans that are going to be the ones that, eventually say, okay, we need to get some governing done, or is it going to be the 203? I would say it's more likely going to be 203, and that means that more than likely, in my opinion, we'll see a compromise candidate eventually. If this keeps going and going, eventually those more moderate Republicans will say, okay, we need to find someone else besides Kevin.
Cathy, do you think that there's a chance that that could happen?
Well, we don't know what could happen. I don't think you use the word lie about Kevin McCarthy trying to line up votes and what people promised. As you know, he agreed to several of the requests of these members, and then they came in the night before yesterday with 30 more requests. And so that's the game that group's playing. But I believe he will get elected. Jim Jordan, who they gave votes to yesterday, he wants to be chairman of Judiciary. He doesn't want to run the House of Representatives. It's a whole different job. And so Kevin, as they all know, Kevin deserved it, that he did put in the work while we have the majority. These folks that are causing trouble, they'll just have to work it out, and hopefully enough members. I see President Trump today said to them, get your act together, go vote for Kevin. So they can't use the excuse that they're somehow the far right at this point.
So what is going on right now behind closed doors now that they're out of session? Are there negotiations continuing? These members who are holding out on McCarthy, are they continuing to ask for concessions? What else could he give them?
I don't know. One of the things they were requesting at the last minute was to take some of Jim Jordan's issues away from him, create a committee that they get to run. They come up with a lot of things. There's just people are talking to them about how you're not going to succeed with this, so let's move on. We don't look at it. And maybe their district constituents, having seen them on television for hours, what they were doing yesterday, maybe they're calling in to say, hey, you're getting nowhere with this and you're embarrassing us. I kind of hope that happens.
Neel, even if McCarthy pulls this off, what kind of leader can he be?
I mean, this is the thing. If we are prior to the first day of the 118th Congress, right? The 118th Congress hasn't really even begun yet because they can't elect a speaker. And so this is very bad for Kevin McCarthy. It means that if he can't even get to 218 of his own members to say, hey, yeah, you should lead us, then how is he going to get any legislation passed? How is he going to do anything besides obstruct the Democratic agenda, right? And that's really all they're going to be able to do with their majority. And so that is probably what is really on McCarthy's mind now, is how does he govern after this? if he even becomes Speaker. And I think a lot of those 203 Republicans are also thinking, okay, how are we going to govern after this if McCarthy is Speaker? If these folks aren't going to come along, if they're not going to work with McCarthy because they don't trust him. That's what Bob Good has said. That's what Matt Gaetz has said. Matt Gaetz yesterday literally said that McCarthy has sold shares of himself over the last 20 years, and that's why no one can trust him.
Have you ever Googled Matt Gaetz? I think you better read about him.
I don't trust Matt Gaetz either.
Yeah,
but
I don't think you want to quote
he
Matt
is someone.
Gaetz.
He is someone that McCarthy could have called out a long time ago and didn't, and stayed quiet on.
Yeah.
And now it's coming back to bite him. So that's just how the game is played, and McCarthy hasn't played it well enough to be in a better position right now.
And Cathy believes he will pull it out in the end.
I think so. I do. I'm very confident in his leadership, and I think if anything else happens, it's unfortunate for the party because I think he can do the most. And obstructing the Democrats' agenda, yeah, that is what we want to do.
All right, well, we will find out more today. Again, the House will reconvene at noon Eastern time. That's 9 a.m. our time. So we'll continue this coverage for you. Neel, Cathy, thank you for coming in this morning. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.